It's that time of the year again, fall foliage time. Canada New England cruise is definitely on our thought process. So as we've been researching some more ideas of things to do because we had a great time last year, we thought we'd put a quick video together of some New England Canada cruise port ideas and maybe excursion ideas or travel spots that maybe you would like to go on your cruise. Our first stop when we did our Canada New England cruise was Newport, Rhode Island. Newport, Rhode Island was a fun spot. You tender boat in, so be mindful of that when you go to Newport, Rhode Island, that it's a tender boat. So you have to be more strategic on your time management because you have to usually go down and get a ticket. And from your ticket, they call different groups that can go off the boat at different times in the tender boats. And when you do that, it tends to take about 20 to 45 minutes wait time. And then once you get on the actual tender boat, there tends to be about another 20-minute, ride over to Newport. But it is kind of fun. It's fun to ride the tender boat over. It's almost like you get an excursion for free. You get to see the boats as you go by. You get to see the city, a closer view. So that's pretty cool. You do get to Rhode Island typically pretty early, so be mindful of that. A lot of people try to beat the crowds like we did. We were first, get off the ship as quick as possible, get into Newport so you don't have to wait, long lines for the tender boats and things like that. But the problem also with that is nothing was open. So we were quick to get in there and run to all the shops, but all the shops were closed. So if you're going through Newport, realize that it seemed like most of the shops didn't open until about 10 or 11. So I was surprised. That, so we did go to a playground there. We checked out Newport. They have lots of historic buildings, lots of scenic parks. As you're walking in, we saw some fall colors on, in the parks there. And so it's a very beautiful area. There's tons of food. There's clam chowders and lobster places up and down everywhere. But one of the main things that people do when they go to Newport, Rhode Island is, of course, look at the mansions. There's a walking tours where you can go up and down the coastline. You can check out everything. There's scenic trolley tours. They have a lot of sailing excursions. Do you have anything to add about Newport, Rhode Island? Or?
It was a beautiful little town. We really enjoyed walking. We did get into port early, and so most of the restaurants were closed. The shops were closed. They had a few coffee shops open, which was nice. But it's just a beautiful town. It's a really great harbor, cute little port area. And there are things to do depending on what you like. There are sailing excursions. There's different museums you can go visit. There's an auto museum, which is really cool. There's a beach there, Easton Beach, which would be nice to go see. And the Cliff Walk, which of course is gorgeous. So there's a lot of things to do, a lot of walking options to do, and just a cute little town.
And so we are planning on going on another Canada New England cruise this year. And so we'll be posting videos when we do that. And definitely, as we do this more and more, the quality will get better. So hang with us there. But so if you have any questions about Newport, Rhode Island, please let us know. Or if you have any recommendations on Newport, Rhode Island, let us know. But our second stop, but actually to end Newport there, be mindful when you come back that you're taking the tender boats back to the boat as well. So the lines typically get big. So you want to strategically plan that you may have to wait a while to get back to the boat.
And note the last time that the tender boats will be leaving. Not just what time the ship leaves your port, but also when is the last tender boat going to leave so you don't miss the tender boats.
Yeah. And then our second stop, and the second stop for a lot of places, and that's on most people's Canada New England cruise, is Boston, Massachusetts. The cruise port is pretty much, it seems like you're in a loading dock.
It's an industrial area. So it's not something that's super scenic that you're like, ooh, I'm ported in Boston. But, we had to take an Uber in to Quincy Market. We recommend just taking an Uber. They do have crowds of people that are taking buses and things like that. But if you're like us, sometimes I'd rather pay an extra $1 or $2 and just take an Uber, go away from the crowd and just, Uber on your phone and go into the Quincy Market. I think it was like $15 each, and just go to Quincy Market. You can check out Quincy Market. We love it there. They have tons of food options. She loves getting lobster. Yes.
Lobster there. I tend to go for the Philly cheesesteaks, but there's tons of food options.
it's really cool being in Boston too, because you can walk
everywhere. There's the Freedom Trail. You could just walk. You don't have to pay an excursion. Yes, you can pay an excursion to do a lot of things in Boston, but you can also, if you're somebody that doesn't want to, pay a lot of money for excursion, just do an Uber into the middle of the city there to Quincy Market, and you can walk. There's tons of shops. There's, like I said, the Freedom Trail. There's Boston markets there you can check out. There's tons of historic things to do, and the waterfront there. It's amazing. And this last year was our second time going to Boston. We love Boston. Last time we were there, we did the hop on hop off trolley, and it also had the harbor cruise on there as well, where you can see Boston from the water, and we love that. So Boston's a fun place. So if you have nothing planned for Boston, don't worry, just go in the middle of the city there and you will have a great time. But also be mindful of getting back on the ship as well, because you're going to probably be Ubering or taking a bus when you come back. You have anything else to add about Boston, or just
being mindful that it's about 2 miles from the cruise port to Columbus Circle, which is where Quincy Market is, the middle of town. And so just be thinking about that. It is a long walk if you don't Uber, or if you don't have an excursion, or you don't take the trolley. But once you get in the middle of town, Boston's one of my favorite places to go visit. And so you can walk everywhere, and there's tons of food, tons of things to do, a lot of seating areas, a lot of green spaces. So if you just want to go and enjoy and relax, you can do that as well.
And we, like I said, this is our second time we went to Boston, and we loved it. We did the train from Portland, Maine into Boston last time we came, and that was great. You come right there by the Boston Garden, and you're just in the middle of the city. You're just walking around exploring, and it's a fun area, and there's so much to do. So if you're somebody that's just not sure, maybe you didn't book an excursion, you're good. Just walk around, go explore. But also we have done the hop on hop off trolleys. That was great. They a lot of times, if they do the historic tours, also they'll be telling you everything about every building, and there's so much history there. So Boston was one of those places that until we had ever gone, we had never realized how fun it is. It's a really fun city to go to, and lots of culture. It's just an amazing city. Our third spot here that we're talking about is Portland, Maine. Our last cruise that we went on didn't stop in Portland, Maine, but we have been to Portland, Maine on that same trip that we took years ago. But this next cruise we're doing looks like it's going to be stopping in Portland, Maine, so we're excited about that. We love Portland, Maine. One of the main places that everybody goes to check out Portland, Maine, and also one of the main things that you can see throughout the United States in magnets and in pictures is always the Portland Head Lighthouse. And we were in awe of it last time we went there. And it's just an amazing lighthouse. They have a fort there as well that people can check out. If you love scenic pictures, of taking pictures of a lighthouse, this is a pretty cool lighthouse to do that. So from me looking this morning, it looks like it's about 18 to 20 minute drive to get there. But depending on, you may have a tour that can go there, or you may be able to Uber there. I don't recommend walking there, but maybe you're in really good shape. But you can do that. We have done the Holy Donut. I know this is off the wall, but they make potato donuts, and they're pretty close to downtown right there. And so if you're in the area, maybe you Google it or look it up. But the Holy Donut, it's a different kind of donut that we had never had before, and it was made out of potatoes, and it was something that was really cool, because when we go on these kind of trips, we like to try foods that maybe we normally don't try. And so if you want to try a potato donut, go to the Holy Donut, and they're pretty amazing. You have something to add about Portland, or just?
Portland's a beautiful little town. Again, it's a waterfront town, which I love. Very walkable. And like you said, the Holy Donut was really good because it was a potato flour donut, and they have different options, different flavors. It was really fun to go try. But lots of food, I love walkable cities. I think that's a big thing for me, is I love to have a walkable city with history and culture. And Portland, Maine definitely hits all those boxes for me.
And we've done, they have some excursions that go to Kennebunkport, and that's a pretty cool little city there. There's tons of scenic old churches up and down the whole coastline there. We've done, there's all the lighthouse tours. We've done the lighthouse tours out of Bath, Maine, right?
Yeah.
And I think some of the excursions may do those, and it's amazing too. I mean, we really love Maine, and we've done the shopping at the LL Beans there, and just, so if you're somebody that is going to Portland, Maine on an excursion, definitely recommend some of those things. And like I said, the culture, there's tons of lobster, there's tons of clam chowder, fish and chips. So if you want to have a good time, definitely go to Portland, Maine. And then the next stop that a lot of the Canada New England cruises go to, and a place that we've been a couple times that we really enjoy, is Bar Harbor, Maine. You want to add anything about Bar Harbor, Maine before we start? Or?
Again, it's a cute little town, very walkable. You can walk the whole thing. You don't have to book an excursion. There's a lot of things to do, lots of different food options, local culture, which is really nice, and just a really beautiful small town. And you get dropped off right in the middle of town. There's a little ice cream hut right there when you get to the port. And it's just a really nice town. It is a tender boat stop.
So be mindful of the tender boat. It's the same thing that we talked about with Rhode Island, where you be mindful that it's going to take some time and some planning. You're going to go down. You're going to probably get a ticket, and you're just going to take a little bit of time to load up. And then at least on our trip when we went to Bar Harbor, Maine, they had bigger tender boats for us to come in. So I'm not sure if that'll be the case for you guys. But we did. It was almost like a...
It was like a ferry.
It was like a ferry boat. So a lot more people could come over and quicker. So, and it was almost like a free excursion. So enjoy that as well. It was nice. But we both love Bar Harbor, Maine. One of the main attractions is Acadia National Forest there, it goes up to Cadillac Mountain. If you're in the fall time and you're going up there and the foliage is out, it's
beautiful.
It's a beautiful place to be, and a beautiful scenic place that you at least have to check out once. You have to go to there once. It's a beautiful place. And then also, as we got to experience on our cruise that we did, it's the first sunrise in America. So that's pretty cool. If you're somebody that, we were originally from the West Coast, so every time you see the sun going over the ocean, it's the sunset. But when you're in the East Coast and you're seeing the sunrise on the ocean, it's just it's an upside down feeling, but it's also cool because we wake up out of bed and you're looking outside and you see the sunrise over the ocean. And knowing it's technically the first sunrise in America is also a cool thing to experience on the cruise, and I like stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty cool. There's a lot of t-shirt shops and a lot of, like she was saying, ice cream shops, and just exploring the culture. They're known for lobster there, so while you're there, check out some lobster. And they do have lots of excursions that you can take to go up to Cadillac Mountain. But if you're somebody that wasn't able to book an excursion with a cruise ship, once you get off, they have tons of excursion people standing there that'll help you book something immediately to go and to make sure you'll get back in time for your cruise. And a lot of the same excursions you see when you get off there technically are the same excursions that people that booked with the cruise are going on. But so you can roll the dice sometimes with that if you're someone that likes rolling the dice. But my father-in-law, you can rent little electric vehicles. Is like a little, what was that, a little car that he...
Yeah, they're almost like a electric side-by-side. Yeah. So it fits like 4 people, and he drove up to Cadillac Mountain on his own and didn't go with like an actual tour. So he got to go at his own pace and enjoy it for as long as he wanted and stop and take photos where he wanted to stop. So that is an option, and it was right when we got to the port. They had the cars set up. You could scan a QR code and schedule it right then and there, and then just go off on your own.
Yeah, so if you're somebody that just is like, you know what, I don't want to deal with a tour guide, I'm going to do my own thing, boom, you just rent a car, take it out for the day, come right back, and you're good, and or if you have a family and you're like, we'll save money if we rent this car instead, or if you're somebody that wants to just explore maybe somewhere that no city tours are going, it's perfectly set up for you there. So Bar Harbor, Maine is definitely a cool spot, but be mindful as well, because just like she was saying with Newport, when you're coming back, make sure you make it back in time. And so you have to be very mindful of those planning for tender boats when you are in Bar Harbor. And then our next stop was St. John, Canada. St. John, Canada, it was a really cool city. It was fun to walk but be mindful that there's lots of hills. When you first get off, it seems like you're in the middle of the city there. And so when you're coming in and your boat docks in there, you can see a lot of the city, and then you can just walk up and down the hills if you want to, like we did. We had no excursion when we went there, so we just were like, hey, we're going to explore this city. But we were tired after we did it because there's a lot of hills and there's lots of shops. I definitely recommend, if you're going to be somebody that walks around the city, that you check out the city market. You can get the full feel of the area by going in the city market. You have your locals in there that are selling, honeys and maple syrup and t-shirts and lobsters, and there's music playing, and it's just a really awesome feel. It almost feels like the feeling you get when you walk into someone else's house on Thanksgiving and sit at their dinner table. You're part of family. It's kind of how it feels when you're in St. John, Canada, and you're walking in the city market. Kind of has the homey feel. It's definitely really fun. There's lots of hop-on, hop-off tours that are there. We're your typical, love Canada type people. So every time we go into places that have a Tim Hortons, we like to grab a Tim Hortons coffee and, do the tourist thing and take a picture and have a donut, because we like that.
Really good apple fritters last time.
So they do have a Tim Hortons there. They have lots of other coffee shops as well. Lots of just markets and shops, and they have a little park there.
There's a lot of green spaces. So there's like a King's Park, there's a Queen's Park. But again, it's a very walkable city. A lot of history, a lot of old buildings, and a lot of green spaces, which were really nice. And there's a lot of historical markers that tell you about the different statues in the green spaces. And so if you like the history, if you like the culture, it's a very walkable city. It is hills, but it's walkable. And there's just a lot of, every little side road has like a local restaurant or a coffee shop, and everything has a story. And so that's what makes it a really interesting city to visit.
And they have historical, like, police cars. Wasn't that a police car that was driving around? And
oh yeah, they have they're like vintage cars that are the old police cars, the old fire trucks that you can take tours on.
And then our father-in-law, who was a little more adventurous than we were apparently on our trip, he went out and did everything. He was celebrating. He went to the Reversing Falls Rapids. That's a big thing, an excursion that people do too. He liked it. So if you're somebody that wants to see rapids go in the opposite direction, it's known for that in St. John, Canada. So you could check that out as well. And like I said, there's a lot of hop-on, hop-off tours. And you can walk the city. It's just, there's some hills. They do a good job, though, of offering some shops when you first get off the cruise boat or ship. So when you first get off, if you're somebody that's like, man, I don't want to walk a lot, you could just get right off the ship, and they have a lot of shops right there. So you don't have to go up a lot of these big hills and you explore the city. If you don't want to, you can get right out off the ship. They have probably like 30 to 40 little shops that they've created there that are there just for you to explore and get your magnets or your
Little
souvenirs and a couple food places if you want to check out a part of the area without walking, some of these big hills. So that's definitely a plus if you're just wanting to get some souvenirs. And our last spot on our cruise was Halifax, Canada. We really enjoyed Halifax, Canada. It kind of had, and maybe just this is my own personal thoughts, it kind of had the same feeling when I was going into Victoria, Canada. It felt a little warmer. It felt nice and pretty, and you're seeing the beautiful city as you come in, and it had a nice feel. You had a lighthouse as you're coming in. You got to see, from the ship as you come into the city, and it was a really nice waterfront city. So there's stuff to do everywhere. We ran ourselves into the ground.
Yes.
When we first got there, we checked out some of the hot spots, which is there was a maritime museum. You have any information to add about that? Or
yeah, if you like anything nautical or maritime, the museum is really, really cool. And so there are a bunch of different types of ships and recreations of ships there, and they're full size. They have some full size small boats inside the Maritime Museum, which is really cool. There was a talking parrot randomly when you first walked in. There is Wi-Fi, which is nice.
Oh yeah.
There was Wi-Fi in that building, and So you have the Maritime Museum, but there's also has the Titanic exhibit. So a lot of people call it the Titanic Museum, but it's actually the Maritime Museum with a Titanic exhibit, which is cool if you know the history of the Titanic. There's a lot there, and so that is nice. It's just a really, really nice little museum.
Yeah, and they have the Titanic graveyard if you want to Uber in, or
if you have an excursion that goes there.
If you have an excursion that goes there, or you want to take a bus or something like that. I believe it's a little too far to walk unless you're someone that wants to walk a lot, but they have the Titanic graveyard there you could check out if you're wanting to see the history behind some of that. They do have a little bit at the Maritime Museum, you know, a couple of the items from the Titanic, and that's kind of cool to see the history of that. Like I said, when you're walking in to get to the Maritime Museum, there's tons of shops, tons of waterfront activities and food vendors, and the scenic lighthouse is there too. So it's a really cool, they had music going, and you know, if you want to try some of the different cultural foods there, there's a huge hill after that. We went up and we went out and checked out the Citadel, and that was really cool. If you're in the area and you like history and you like forts and you like seeing the soldiers and
there's the colonial history of the area.
The colonial history, and then even from some of the cannons that they have up there, you can see your ship. And so that's pretty crazy to see, just to think about, you know, how things were just, you know, not too long ago, and how, you know, the cannons would guard from different, you know, people coming in and make sure everything was going according to, you know, code. And so that's really cool to see. And this, like I said, the Citadel is awesome. I love seeing that, and it is a walk. If you're going to be adventurous and walk it, it's up a big hill. So a lot of tours and things like that tend to take you there. If you're somebody that has problems walking, you may take whether an Uber or a tour up to it, because it is a big hill. But like I said, there was a lot to do. Our adventurous father-in-law also did Peggy's Cove. Mm-hmm. He loved it. He said it was beautiful. He took some great pictures out there. So I definitely recommend Peggy's Cove if you're somebody that, you know, can go there. If you're somebody that has not booked an excursion, you definitely can. Like I said, you can go to the Citadel. You also can go to the Maritime Museum. You also can Uber in to check out the Titanic graveyard and things like that. And like I said, there's tons of shops.
Well, and the waterfront is really nice. Yeah. And so when you come into Halifax, they have a full waterfront, and pretty much you just follow the wooden path, was what they told us. And it takes you all the way up to the waterfront. There's all kinds of restaurants and shops and little food pop-ups. And it's just a beautiful walk. And if you don't want to take an excursion, and if you want something that's flat and not up all the hills in the city, the waterfront walk is completely flat, very accessible, and just beautiful.
Yeah, so in closing, I mean, we're pretty excited because we actually booked a Canada New England cruise for this year. So it was one of those last second deals, and we were kind of unexpected, but we'll be coming out with another video series on the Canada New England cruise, and hopefully some good quality content to help people that are planning this cruise in the future to have ideas and things like that. And you know, if you have any comments on any of the places we've gone, or if you have any you know, maybe ideas of maybe something we missed that we should go check out, because like I said, part of this information we're looking over now as we're planning our cruise. And so if you have an excursion that you definitely recommend, maybe at one of these cities, let me know, because we're looking for ideas as well. Or let other people that are going to watch this video know of some hot spots that they should check out. But like and subscribe, and we'll get some more content out there to you as soon as we can. Thanks for watching.